What's happening, beautiful people? Trumpeter Bobby Spellman here. Lately, I've been getting a lot of questions about the best way to structure a trumpet warm-up. And while I discussed it a little bit on my episode on the 3 parts to a good trumpet practice routine, I figured that it would be worthwhile to dedicate an entire video to the subject. For me, a good trumpet warm-up is the difference between a good day and a bad day, and it has a huge influence on my comfort on the instrument as well as my consistency from day to day. So today I wanted to go over a couple of tips for structuring a good trumpet warm-up on this very practical episode of Trumpet with Bob. For any athlete, warming up does a couple of things. First, it gradually increases body temperature in order to facilitate blood flow to the muscles, increasing oxygen to the muscles, increasing performance. Second, it will improve muscle elasticity. And finally, third, warming up increases the speed of the signal transmission through nerves in order to improve motor control and coordination. Now, I've often said that being a trumpet player is being an athlete, although we're dealing with fairly specific muscle groups here. But that being said, it has always been a big help to me to get a good warm-up in before I play. Now, my ideal warm-up time is someplace between 15 and 20 minutes. And if you've got a tight schedule, that may seem like a long time, but I have always found that if I can get a good, solid warm-up in the morning, then throughout the day, when I'm preparing for additional practice sessions or rehearsals or performances, it only takes another, let's say, 3 to 5 minutes to quickly warm up to feel like I'm ready to go in any of those performance settings. So it's always worthwhile doing a good warm-up in the morning, and so I want to take you through the various sections of a warm-up and the way that I like to structure my warm-ups. Generally speaking, I like to break my warm-ups into 3 or 4 5-minute segments and start off very gently and as gradually as possible, introduce my muscles to more difficult exercises. The first place I always start is with long tones. I'm a huge advocate of long tones. They've been a huge help to me through time, and I will still do 5 minutes of long tones at the beginning of every day at the beginning of my warm-up. Now, long tones are especially helpful if you're just starting out on the trumpet and you're trying to get a nice tone and you're trying to really center your lips on the mouthpiece. It's helpful if you're getting used to new equipment. It's very helpful if, like me, you spent a lot of time playing yesterday and you wake up and your lips are feeling really stiff and you want to get them back feeling good again. And for many other reasons. I always do long tones, and I advocate my students do long tones because it allows for better consistency. I did a whole video on long tones. You can check that out. I'll put it in the description below. But more or less, it goes like this. I set my timer for 5 minutes, and then I will gently, at a piano or a mezzo piano, play a G for 5 minutes. At any time, I can take the horn off my face, and I encourage you to do so, and let the blood come back into my lips and just relax for a second, and then go back to playing the tone again. My goal is always to focus on my breath and to try to keep my air as consistent as possible and allow my lips to really find the center of the mouthpiece and find the center of the pitch. So I'll put a timer on my phone, and then it goes like this. Very gently, just playing the G for right around 5 minutes. Now, I've always found that this really works to just help center my lips on the mouthpiece and really find the center of the pitch and have everything get coordinated. What's happening scientifically that long tones work so well? I have no idea. Seems like it's a little bit of a mystery, but nonetheless, the results speak for themselves. Now, if you find long tones to be a little bit too tedious or you're trying to get into some other things, some other exercises that you can replace just a straight long tone with include the 6 notes at the beginning of the Carmine Caruso book. That's a good place to start. Those 6 notes are also present in the beginning of Laurie Frink and John McNeil's Flexus, so you can find them there. Another good option would be to go into the beginning of the Max Schlossberg Daily Drills and Technical Studies for Trumpet. There's quite an extensive long tone routine at the beginning of that book, so if you find it too tedious to play one note at once, you can check out some other methods in which you play some long tones, but the idea remains the same. So from there, after I played for about 5 minutes and my lips are feeling warmed up, this is a good opportunity to start to warm up your fingers and your tongue and coordinate your fingers with your tongue. So there's a couple of different exercises that you can do here. Warm-ups are going to be different for each individual, but I want to just give you a basic idea of how you can structure them and what I like to do. But if you're working on different things at different times, you may find that you can input them into these different sections of the practice routine. So after 5 minutes of long tones, I will do 5 minutes of exercises that coordinate my fingers and my tongue. Now, here's my favorite exercise to do because I think you can get a lot done with it. I like to play chromatically from A flat down to D and back. All right, and that's a tritone. There's a bunch of different ways you can do that rhythmically, but it sounds like this. Fairly simple, you're not going very far. The reason I like it is because it's right in the middle register of the trumpet, just about where you were playing that long tone on the G. However, it requires that you use all of your fingers. There's no easy fingering here. It's a little bit of a tricky fingering, and it helps to just get all your finger muscles working. And furthermore, because of the nature of the rhythm of the exercise, you can either play it in 3/4 in eighth notes, or you can play it in triplets. And the value of that is that you can practice different articulations through that pattern. So I'll often start with single tonguing, then do double tonguing, and then turn it into triplets and do triple tonguing. And then I might do jazz tonguing or doodle tonguing or whatever I might be happen to be working on at that given time. So that might sound a little something like this. Or I can combine different articulations just in order to get my fingers and my tongue coordinated. It's a very simple exercise, just going chromatically from A flat down to D, but I find it really does a good job of warming up my fingers and coordinating my tongue. Other exercises that work very well for this are the H.L. Clark exercises, the studies 1 through 3. If you're working on a particular key at any given time, that would be a good thing to do, go through the Clark second study. If you are feeling very stiff, if you played a lot the day before and you're feeling very stiff and notes aren't coming out the way that you want, you could go to the first exercise in the Clark book and play chromatically, for example, from low F sharp to C, hanging out in that low register. That'll help to relax your lips and open up your aperture and get your sound back to where you want it to be. And again, you can articulate that in any way that you want in order to get your tongue muscle moving and coordinate your fingers and your tongue. All right, so at that point, after you've done about 5 minutes of exercises that are simple exercises that coordinate your fingers and your tongue. By the way, as I mentioned this, you want to stay at a piano or a mezzo piano. If you're blasting, it's not going to help your warm-up. You're going to overexert your muscles too early, and it's going to be difficult to do. And furthermore, you want to make sure that you're letting your lips rest. So take the horn off your face from time to time. If you get too intense and you're playing a long time and you don't let your lips relax, then the warm-up becomes a more strenuous exercise, and that doesn't really help in your warm-up. So be sure to take the horn off your face, let your lips rest. From time to time, I like to just blow out my chops. Again, warming up those muscles, getting the blood into my lips, getting the oxygen to my lips. You don't want to do anything too strenuous at this point. All right, at this point, now after 10 minutes of warm-up, I'm starting to ramp up into some more challenging trumpet exercises. This is when I like to introduce one of my favorite kinds of exercises, flexibilities. All right, so at this point, I'll do very simple flexibilities, once again, starting from that G and working my way around the range of the instrument. So I'll actually start on a G flat on 1, 2, and 3, and I'll show you this exercise that I like to do, very simple flexibility exercise, just moving around the horn. It goes like this. For every fingering, I may spend a little bit more time on it than I am now, but I'm just rushing through it so that I can get all this information into one video. All right, so once I've done that, I moved up the fingerings 1, 2, and 3, 1 and 3, 2 and 3, 1 and 2, 1, 2, and open. Then I'll do the same thing, but I'll start from that G flat, move all the way down to the low G flat, and then up to a D flat in the staff, and do the same kind of a flexibility exercise. Might sound a little something like this. And then from there, you can move up chromatically 2 and 3, 1 and 2, 1, 2. I'll do a very quick version. It goes like this. So I find that these flexibility exercises enable me to cover the range of the instrument and very gradually expose my muscles to additional challenges required to play the trumpet. Now, if you're only dealing with music that's basically in the staff, or you're practicing other things, this may be all you need, is that 15 minutes. 5 minutes of long tones, 5 minutes of technical exercises that incorporate your fingers and your tongue, and 5 minutes of flexibility exercises. As a brief addition to the flexibility exercises, in addition to those kinds of simple flexibilities, you can also find some great exercises. One of my favorites is the flexibility one in the Flexus book. There's really a lot of good stuff in here, and this is one of my favorite books to gradually get me from very simple, comfortable flexibility exercises into some more challenging exercises. All right, that being said, if you are then going to go on and play into the upper register, if you're playing lead trumpet, or you're playing funk trumpet all night, and you're playing a wedding, or you're playing some kind of a strenuous thing where you got to hang out above the staff, you will also need to warm up your muscles involved in playing above the staff. So there are two ways that I like to do that. Number one is you can continue with the flexibility exercises, continuing up the partials towards the upper register in order to warm up those muscles. That might sound something like this. That way you're just expanding the flexibility exercises to increase those higher notes. Another thing that I really like to do is to very slowly play through major scales. Now this helps reinforce your major scales if you're working on that, but also the major scales are a very familiar sound, so it can allow us to really pinpoint where those notes are on the trumpet. Once again, this is not an endurance exercise, it's not a range exercise, it's warming up the muscles required to play these notes. So, it's not about overblowing or getting crazy, it's just about delicately entering the upper register where you're comfortable so that you're able to play those notes later on. So typically speaking, I like to set my metronome for around 80, which I think is a comfortable place to do this. And then just play up the scales up into the upper register, starting on a note that will be comfortable for you. This will be different for everybody. And then increasing the pitch chromatically until you're playing pretty high up into your upper register. Now, just for rhythmic reasons, I like to play from the 1 up to the 9th and back down to the 1 again. I'm going to start on a G, but you could start wherever's comfortable for you. It's going to be different for everybody. And then I'll quickly run up through the exercise so you can see what that sounds like. All right, so here's the metronome. This is going to be going at 80 beats per minute. Sounds a little something like this. Once again, just being gentle, just playing up and down the scale, just feeling what it feels like to use my air to get into that register. Taking a little break, taking the horn off my face, let the blood return to my lips. I'm going to go up a half step and do it in A flat. Here we go. All right, from there I'm going to fast forward it a little bit so you can hear me just gradually getting into the upper register, exercising that part of my range. Sounds like this. And again, it's just about exercising those muscles and allowing them to vibrate and get into the space that they need to be in order to be able to play in those registers when you actually need to play there. Now from there, if you're just doing a practice routine, you may choose to then continue on and try to do some more strenuous range exercises or technical exercises of various kinds. But at this point, you should find that you're feeling pretty good and you're feeling pretty warmed up. Now, there's a couple of different adaptations that you can make to this routine. For example, if you're really busy, you are a professional rocket scientist or brain surgeon, something of the like, and you only have a limited time to practice during the day, you got to make a decision on how you're going to allocate your time. So, for example, if you only have half an hour to practice in a day, you may choose to bypass the long tone section and instead use the technical section, the second segment, as your long tone section, because in many ways that playing some of those technical exercises, the Clarks, or that chromatic thing from A flat down to D provides a similar service to your face as the long tones. That being said, I find it extremely helpful to focus on long tones themselves in order to really fine-tune the feeling of playing the trumpet. Now that being said, again, if you don't have time, you can bypass the long tones, go right to the technical exercises, and if you don't have to play above the staff, you don't have to do that last section. So you can keep it to 15 minutes or even 10 minutes, but if you're doing only 10 minutes of warm-up, it may be helpful to then start off your practice routine with much easier exercises rather than diving right into the hardest thing that you can do. All right? So check that out, everybody. I hope that helps in your quest for trumpet excellence. The more consistent your warm-up is, the more consistent you will be in your playing. So if you find that your playing is very inconsistent day to day, my best recommendation would be to really work on keeping a consistent warm-up and then seeing if that helps improve your consistency throughout the day. For me, once again, warming up has a huge influence on how comfortable I am on the trumpet for the rest of the day. So I'm a big advocate of getting a good warm-up in whatever way you can. But you can take each of these sections and alter them in whatever way you find is most helpful for the specific trumpet exercises that you're working on at any given time. All right, gang, I hope you found that video helpful. If you like this, give us a like, subscribe to the channel. Have a wonderful time practicing this, and we'll see you next week for some more videos on trumpet, jazz, and music theory. All right, gang, have a wonderful time practicing. I'll see ya. Trumpet with Bob. All right, gang, thanks so much for checking out this video. We hope it helps in your quest for the majesty of musical self-expression. The Ridgewood School of Music is currently accepting new students for lessons online or in person in the Brooklyn, Queens, and New York City area. If you'd like us to help set you up with the perfect teacher for the instrument or style that you're interested in studying, you can find us on our website at www.ridgewoodschoolofmusic.com, or you can shoot us an email at ridgewoodschoolofmusic@gmail.com. If you enjoyed this video and you would like to support the creation of new videos like this one, you can find us on our Patreon at patreon.com/Ridgewood School of Music. There, as a subscriber to the Patreon, you can gain access to bonus content, including bonus videos, exercises in improvisation and different instruments, as well as bonus transcription videos. So, if you'd like to help support the creation of new videos like this one, find us on our Patreon, and it's a real big help. All right, gang, have a wonderful time practicing, and we'll catch you on the next one. See ya.